President Biden was side by side with Governor Gavin Newsom yesterday in California. Joe Concha joins me. Joe, Newsom hasn't declared that he's running for the presidency, but he is running, isn't he?
Well, if you watch that Gavin Newsom interview with Sean Hannity last week, Stu, it's difficult to not come to the conclusion that the governor of California is seeking the Democratic nomination. I mean, he could have simply said flat out, I'm not running. I fully support President Biden. Instead, when he was asked how often his phone rings from his Democratic friends about running for president, Newsom said, quote, I'm not answering that, unquote. So that sound you heard was the barn door flying wide open. And you know, Stu, when John F. Kennedy ran in 1960, some people said, you know what, you're too young, you're too inexperienced to seek the presidency in that year. And JFK answered, if I don't run now, they're going to forget about me in 4 years. So perhaps Newsom sees this as his moment against an impossibly weak incumbent president, currently at 31% favorability, vastly underwater on issues ranging from the economy to immigration to crime to foreign policy. And as we've talked about, an overwhelming majority of people believe Joe Biden is too old for the job now and have zero appetite for the 86-year-old version of Joe Biden still being in the Oval Office if he were to win re-election. You see that contrast? Newsom and Biden together yesterday? Boy, pictures tell 1,000 words in terms of appearance, Stu.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I can see that. All right, Joe. Here's another one for you. MSNBC, you know them. They say they'd consider a town hall with Donald Trump, but with some restrictions. Watch this.
I think there are many ways that you can approach that. I don't know that a town hall tomorrow is something that our audience is looking for, or any audience. But as you look at the next 505 days, I think you'll see a lot of that across the portfolio.
But if Trump came to you specifically and says, I want to be on your air to do it, would you say yes?
Would I say yes to it would be a conversation. I think you have to put parameters about how to control the environment.
Okay, Joe, do you think Trump would agree to any parameters?
No, absolutely not. He went on CNN. He was with Bret Baier last night. He's been on a media blitz lately. But the piousness, Stu, of some of these other networks, when they talk about protecting their viewers, who at last check are almost all grown adults, protecting them from the former president and Donald Trump in terms of his words. Meanwhile, networks like MSNBC, they'll have serial liars like Adam Schiff on their network literally hundreds of times talking about, say, Trump-Russia collusion, never being pressed in any way to actually present any evidence. Hillary Clinton and her allies, after the 2016 election, said it was hacked, said the election was stolen from her. They have no problem putting those folks on the air. But yet, with Donald Trump, well, we have to protect them from Donald Trump, who, by the way, they had zero issue putting him on the air in 2015, 2016, dozens upon dozens of times in form of interviews, town halls, rallies, because he was great for ratings, and they didn't believe he can win. But now putting Trump on live TV is considered dangerous. I mean, take two seats on this one, Stu.
Two points, if I may. If Trump did a town hall with MSNBC, I'd watch, and it would be fantastic viewing. Number two, if he did a Trump town hall with MSNBC, there'd be mass resignations at MSNBC, and I'd applaud. Last word to you.
We saw it at CNN. They put Donald Trump on the air last month for a town hall, and the mutiny began against the network president for having the audacity to do that when, again, all these folks bear hugged Donald Trump in 2015, 2016, when he was making ratings great again, Stu.
It's a lot of fun to be on the sidelines commenting on this election, isn't it? Especially when you've got CNN and MSNBC to play with. All good stuff, Joe, and come back and see us again soon.